Hi everyone, my name is Nadila and today I'm with my two colleagues from Group 5, Angesom and Marius, and today we're going to talk about international joint venture. So the central question for this week is which resources are the basis for international joint venture success? Based on the two papers that we read, uh, they both use resource-based view as the perspective to define what is international joint ventures. The first papers use broader view and use resource-based view and organizational learning theory to define international joint ventures, and they conclude that international joint ventures is cooperative arrangement that utilize resources from organizations in separate countries, while the second paper explain it in more narrow fashions and focus more on the notions of resource complementary. And they highlighted that international joint venture is efficient structures to acquire complementary resources. We saw that these two papers has vertical relationship. Therefore, the result is not conflicted to each other, but instead they strengthen and support each other. We also find another interesting definition from Goering and Herbert. They say that equity sharing, international joint venture is equity sharing arrangement between two companies where they pool resources, share risk, and also share control to operate independent business and therefore attain strategic objective. This definition is also interesting as they recognize the differences that may occur in objective for international joint venture. But why firms want to join international joint ventures? On the first hand, we all know that international joint ventures is useful to share resources, share knowledge, and also market access. From transaction cost point of view, international joint ventures also divide risk and reduce transaction costs. Firms also triggered to join international joint ventures because they see critical resource complementary and they are motivated to take advantage of it. Choi and Bemis also point out on their papers that joint venture is more effective structure to acquire complementary resources rather than market. Why? Because complementary resources is usually embedded within the organizations. Therefore, these resources is not available on the market and they tend to have supporting resources. So if a firm decides to buy resources from the market, these resources will have deteriorating value because they lack of supporting factors and resources. However, there is a critical issue in international joint ventures, which is finding the right partner. Marius will talk more about this issue.
All right, now that Dila has told us about the first critical decision to form a joint venture, I'll continue with the second critical decision, the selection of the right partner. What makes the partner selection crucial? In many modern joint ventures, and there are a lot, there's a high level of dissatisfaction that may be caused by bad performance of the joint venture with bad outcomes or by wrong expectations of the partners, but really often it is caused by the wrong selection of the wrong partner. Yeah, and then in practice, this often leads to a dissolution of the joint ventures, and the termination of the joint venture has disadvantages for both partners. To quantify this dissolution and the dissatisfaction, we need to highlight the importance of finding a partner who complements in terms of resources and skills. Choosing the right partner is influenced by criteria that firms prefer or prefer not while choosing their partner, and those criteria which they prefer highly depends on the market context they come from. Most modern joint ventures are an alliance between a firm from a developed market and a firm from an emerging market. And usually these two firms have then different goals. And additionally, the research-based view and the organizational learning theory influence the differences in the criteria as well. Yeah, what do firms want from their partner? This table shows what the firms desire differently. And the green fields show that there's a high importance for the firm of this criterion, whereas the orange fields state also an important criterion, but is it not is it's not important as the green fields, yeah. Whereas the red fields state that they do not value this criterion at all. Financial assets, for example, are really important to emerging market firms because in their markets there often is a lack of financial assets, and they sometimes struggle to get financial assets, maybe based on their lack of reputation. And thus, as developed market firms usually have financial assets, they seek those to gain those from their partners. Market knowledge in Excel is an example that is really important for developed market firms. This is a main reason, or one of the main reasons, to enter a joint venture. For example, in countries like China, where you're required to get into a joint venture to gain market access. Whereas willingness to share expertise and technical capabilities are the main reasons for emerging market firms to get into a joint venture in order to get technologies and technical capabilities from the developed market firms. But to get those technical capabilities, the developed market firms need to have willingness to share expertise. Yeah, as we now have seen a lot of criteria for partner selection, back to the question, which of these criteria and resources really influence joint venture success? And now Amigom will continue to elaborate this question.
Okay, I'll now then continue to present with the next part, which is answering the question, which is the central question of the week. Which resources are the basis for international joint venture success? As already mentioned by Marius, there are several criteria or resources already mentioned. Do those criteria influence joint venture success or not? The paper by Choice and Beamish found that resource complementarity is the key driver of joint venture formation, and also it leads to a superior joint venture performance. Consistent with the resource-based view perspective, Choice and Beamish also found that complementarity of technology-related resources and local knowledge-related resources possibly contributes to joint venture performance. Of course, this depends on the objectives of the joint venture and the parent firms. Moreover, in order to be effective or to lead to the better performance of a joint venture, the resource complementarity must be accompanied by trust and co-specialization of the parent firms. If this is accompanied by trust and co-specialization, this may lead us to a superior joint venture performance. What does it mean by trust and co-specialization? By trust, we mean that partners should trust each other and be loyal to the joint venture relationship. This may lead us to less transaction costs and also higher efficiency. When both partners are willing to have their resources co-specialized or adapted, the rent earning potential of combined resources is likely to increase. So this may lead us also to a better joint venture performance. In order to answer the central question, we need also to mention that how these resources contribute to a performance of the joint venture. Of course, this aforementioned resources contribute to the performance of a joint venture. However, it is the complementarity or interaction of those resources that contribute to a superior performance or success of an international joint venture. In other words, the more complementary and co-specialized both partners' resources are, the better the performance of the joint venture. So overall, to conclude our presentation, It's not black and white to answer the central question of the week. It's obvious that it depends on the objectives of the joint venture and the objectives of the what you call the partner companies. So it's difficult to draw a conclusion. However, depending on the objectives of the partners and the alliance, complementarity of the resources accompanied by trust and co-specialization leads to superior joint venture performance. This supports the arguments of research-based view, relational view, and also organizational learning perspectives. We thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.